Hey, folks, good evening and welcome back to the Political Matrix News. I'm Scott Miller here with my buddy, longtime buddy and partner, Greg Fink. Uh, hey, buddy, we've been knocking around politics for 30 years, behind the scenes, backstage view of all of the things that you're seeing in the media. We've seen up close and in person. And, buddy, it is theater more than anything else.
It really is. I actually had one guy who talked to us about some fundraising here last week,
Right.
and he hasn't given us anything to fundraise with. He gave us a small little baby retainer. I'm not gonna mention his name, but I was like, he gave me a headshot, and he doesn't look like the headshot anymore, and so it's a whole different look. And I mean, we have all these clients out there in the past over 30 years who just give us part of what to work for. And I'm sure all the other consultants out there, any of them who might be watching this, probably feel the pain.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of where we went wrong, honest to God, was we didn't just tell the guys, look, you give them a list of things that they had to have before we could start working with them, and just
Right.
let it go. Because I mean, I've had to go take snapshots of clients out in the god awful sun just so I'd have something to put on a handout or something.
You would think somebody who's running for office would be, if they ever think they have all the answers already, they should have all the media with them, or a script or something. I mean, it's like, why am I running? I don't know. Why are you running? Why am I running? Why are you running? Why am I running? Why are you running? What do the polls say? Fuck if I know. Who has any idea whatsoever? But and it kind of really dovetails into this whole situation we're seeing about Epstein, and how people keep beating their heads against the wall about this list. Is there a list? Do we have a list? Do we even care about a list? Please uncover this. And the judge isn't going to let them see anything. I mean, they're trying to get the DOJ and everybody to just release the grand jury stuff. It's a grand jury information. I mean, that's private for a reason, and
It's not private because the judge wants to keep it private. It's private because of the people involved. And I don't mean like the famous rich people. I mean the people who sometimes risk their life to testify.
exactly. And we talked about this on the last podcast. And I mean, people don't realize, I mean, there are a lot of other things that might be coming into play with this entire situation that have nothing to do with covering up somebody's butt. Because once again, we are going to reiterate the fact that if Trump were on this list and everything about Trump was true about all the photos and everything else, if he was a pedophile, Biden would have prosecuted it already. Obama would have prosecuted already before he even got to the presidency. The attorney general wasn't worried about Russia, Russia, Russia. He was worried about Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
Exactly.
And that would have been the entire thing against Hillary. And Hillary would have walked away with all that. And so, I mean, the whole reality here is that both sides played with the guy on the island. And maybe, he was actually, people don't realize, he was actually a financier and a financial consultant as well. He was not only a sex predator. And so his cover was that he ran a lot of hedge funds. He ran a lot of money market accounts. He made a lot of people made a lot of money. Exactly.
Let me tell you what people really don't understand is, and that's that, when you're in, anything over the middle class, you wind up getting dragged into a bunch of random parties, or actually not even dragged. People like Epstein, like they're making a big deal out of how he apparently was at Donald Trump's wedding when he married Marla Maples. People like Trump take people over a certain income level that are in a certain industry, and they get open invitations to events like that because they're going to network. Next thing you know, that $100 million building that you were having trouble raising money for, now all of a sudden you got two guys that you can make a connection with, and it just happens. That's how that kind of business operates.
And not to over dramatize the movie Wall Street or even the second Wall Street. I mean, granted, Oliver Stone is a very good storyteller. However, the reality in that movie, in both of the movies that he created, is very true. It's a very small class of people. It's a very small pool of people that can afford all of that and who connect who basically connect the dots of industry to make everything work. And I mean, it's kind of like, I still get frustrated even today. People are yelling at me, or not yelling at me, but arguing with me about how we just need to keep taxing the rich and taxing the rich. I'm like, the first thing the rich is going to do is lay people off. Okay. They're not going to pay more taxes, first of all. They're going to still keep the loopholes, secondly. And thirdly, the only thing that's going to trickle down is they're going to fire people. How
Well,
does that help anything?
let me throw one better than that at you. People that make, the people in the upper 25 percentile pay 90% of the taxes.
Right.
All right. The people below the 50% percentile hardly pay any taxes whatsoever. So when you say, oh, this guy didn't pay his taxes, tax the rich, and they're already taxing them to death.
Exactly. I mean, just look at the small, poor guys in California who are being taxed to death just to rebuild their own freaking homes. And right now, California, I guess the deal is that they want to turn these people who lost their homes on the fires into low income housing and basically, put the homeless people into that housing and create more homeless by not allowing those people to rebuild back on their own property.
Well, it's not going to create homeless. I mean, you're calling them homeless is a bit of an exaggeration.
Well,
but
if
and
you
the
lose
bulk
your house and you can't rebuild, then what?
well, you're not homeless because if you got enough, look in the places where those fires hit, if you got the money to live there, you got the money to buy, you probably got a second home somewhere.
I agree with the people like in the Palisades and Malibu and everything. For the lower income people that were on the other side of that, because there were low income areas that were hit. And so, I mean, a lot of these guys here just don't have the money to rebuild because they built there 40 years ago,
Yeah,
or
fair enough.
35 years ago. And and basically they see this here huge condo going up, but they can't just housing in this country is outrageous right now for pricing. I mean, the market. I mean, we even talked about it. Because of all the huge shortage with Zillow, it's driving the prices up like crazy.
Yeah. Well, when you have places like California who are doing everything that they can to make it so you can't pull a building permit. I've got to go renovate my father's home at some point, and I'm terrified of just of what kind of permits am I going to have to get to even lay some flooring. I mean, I'm being a little extreme about that, but I don't know. Well, he's in the mountains between Sacramento and South Lake Tahoe.
They got a lot of fires up there.
Well, I mean, he has never had a fire like threaten him, but there have been fires in kind of, I don't know, let's call it 50 miles of him.
Right.
Which is a lot closer than you want a fire.
Exactly. And so, I mean, it's a mess totally over there. And yeah, I mean, I have no idea how they're going to rectify that. I mean, if somebody did talk about the housing in California being so expensive, now housing in Oklahoma in the Midwest is catching up. They're saying it's not really that California is that expensive, so they were first. And now the rest of the country is just finally catching up 30 years later to price themselves like in Pensacola, Florida. I mean, you can easily rent a place there for $2,500, $2,800 a month for a 2-bedroom luxury apartment. The same way in LA, California. It's around $2,500 a month for a 2-bedroom luxury apartment. And so, I mean, the renting prices in Florida and California are not that far different, except the taxes are different, of course. In Florida, Florida has no taxes whatsoever, really, compared to California. I mean, we're like minuscule, totally.
We have property tax and sales tax, and then
Right.
here and there are a few small, more unknown taxes that primarily apply to businesses, and that's about it.
Exactly. It's like a gas tax or an excise tax or
Oh, there's a gas tax, yeah.
a bed and a hotel tax. But that's pathetically small. But yeah, so it's going to be weird.
No, I know exactly how to fix it, though. The fix for their problem is simple. Fire all the Democrats.
Yeah, that would be a good start. That would be a good start.
Here is the fundamental problem with the way Democrats want to do it. They want to make it so the government makes the decisions. All right. The problem with the government making decisions is that all someone has to do is work long enough to and work through the language long enough until they can justify increasing the cost of anything. And so we said, well, we have to pay that because that's that's the only way we're going to get it done is that because they have to follow these rules. And then you pile that on top of that, that on top of that. Next thing you know, you've got the out of control pricing that we have right now. The housing market, the primary driver on the crazy pricing on the housing market is all the hedge funds that came through and started buying up all the rental properties. And then they set the price. If you really want to get into it, why don't we do some investigation on that and see if we can find some evidence of collusion? Because I bet you we can.
You mean there might be collusion between Airbnb and those types of rentals?
No. I'm not talking about the websites. Those websites don't set those prices. They make recommendations. But I will say that there's some evidence that those websites, coordinate their information in an effort to help the people that the property owners. But the property owners that are driving that coordination are the people that run the hedge funds.
Exactly. And they are pricing us out of control. I have no
Yeah.
idea how. I mean, I still don't know how. I live over here in Palm Coast, Florida, where we have a brand new neighborhood went up. It says housing starting at 400,000, houses starting at
Oh, wow.
300,000,
Oh
and
boy.
the average wage over here is right around $17 an hour.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it's like who are they attracting? I mean, how many people are they attracting here from out of the area? Which obviously is their attraction, but it doesn't help any of the people who are local who are just trying to find a place to live and everything. I mean, it really does. Our house here has 2 or 3 generations in it, and I think that most of the people on our street are all 3 generation families.
Mhm.
And I mean, grandma, grandpa, the kids, and the grandkids, they all live together. And nobody's ever really moving out at this moment or living on their own because, nobody can really afford it.
What are you going to do?
It's kind of like Europe.
Only good part about that is at least now the grandparents have someone to take care of them.
Exactly. At least you have a free babysitter.
Well, and a grandparent sitter too. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, grandparents there
so
too.
so the young kids are going to have the kids, and then have the grandparents take care of the kids. And then when the grandparents get old, and the kids get old, they'll take care of themselves. Then they all turn around and start taking care of the grandparents.
Yeah, that's what happened with my mom and dad. I mean, my dad just passed away like a month and a half ago, and we were taking care of him. He was 80 years old, and so I mean, it really turned around. I mean, it was like turnabout's fair play, definitely. And I mean, people who don't realize how hard it is to be a caretaker, my goodness, I learned very quickly. Being a caretaker is tough. I mean, especially for your elderly parents and everything. And that seems to be what the trend is right now, though. I mean, people are moving away from the nursing homes because they're realizing that quality of care is just not there anymore.
It's not even in the quality of care. People are realizing that all that money that you're paying these nursing homes, you can pay yourself. Medicare, Medicaid, stuff like that. If someone from your family will sit there and be a full-time provider, Medicare, Medicaid will pay them.
I tried that, and it's a very long process.
I'm not
But
saying it's
they
not.
will, yeah. You're right. It's a 2 year process, but and I was hoping my dad had a lot longer than that, but it is what it is. I mean, it's definitely a good process to be in. They'll pay you like $19 an hour. Medicare will, Medicaid will, and so it's a pretty good deal. But the whole idea is to get in early. You know, I mean, get them when they're in their early 70s and not when they're already 80 or in their mid 80s and everything. So the whole idea is, actually just, manage and plan it a lot better.
And when you do it that way, you get to keep the money in the family instead of putting it out in some stupid nursing home.
Exactly, which is the way it should be.
And the thing is, nursing homes have their own little scams because but my ex-wife's family owned an assisted living facility, and her father had a lot of experience in that industry. And he said that he couldn't count the number of times he would see these. They would set up an assisted living facility and a skilled nursing facility, and the assisted living facility would have such poor quality care that the patients would just go down, 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 down. And when they got to a certain level, oh my God, they're critical. Put them over here in the skilled nursing care. for, I think it's 45 days they'll
Yeah.
pay for, Medicaid will pay for.
Right.
And then as soon as that runs out, they kick them back over to the assisted living. By that time, they've kind of nursed them back up and they just start the process again. And
one of the capitals for, retirees.
for sure.
We have the villages here and everything, which is just outside of Orlando. Other loofahs and everything else that they have fun with on other golf carts. But that's a whole different kind of a retirement community. And the majority of Florida here, we have a lot of 55 and up communities, which are popping up all over the place now. And so they're supposedly going to be having their pricing and structure with their fixed income and everything, which is good. But, whenever that changes, who knows what happens?
Who knows?
The whole thing is, it's California and Florida, but what about New York? I think a lot of people in New York are coming down to Florida because of all that, because they're worried about their new mayor. Me.
That is, I am content to laugh at New Yorkers trying to electing that joker. But the downside of it is definitely the fact that those, the refugees are coming here.
Well, I don't think that he's going to win in the end. I think Eric Adams is probably going to pull it out.
I think you're probably right. I think it'll probably be Eric Adams, but I don't know who it is. But Eric Adams is for me the leading probability, simply because it's one thing to tell people in a very carefully curated little vacuum that this guy is what he is. But it's an entirely different thing when the entire nation gets to vet that in front of you. And, how much trouble we have getting people's story in front of a candidate story in front of the electorate. Well, this guy ain't having a problem. Every single misstep that he makes is going to be amplified because the Democrats are even scared of it.
And Eric Adams is a Democrat, but he's running as an independent.
Yeah.
And so, and he's being, it will be the first time an independent wins at the New York mayor seat, if it does happen. So that'd be pretty cool. Sorry about that. Had a call coming in. Turn your phones off. Keep your seats in the right. Keep your seats in the upright position.
Exactly.
But no. So if Eric Adams wins and New York, stays stable, that'd be great because their law enforcement people cannot handle Mandani. Netanyahu came out today just blasting him, saying that he would be the worst thing at all for New York by far. And Eric Adams hasn't been a really big friend of the Jews either, but I think Netanyahu likes him a lot more than he likes Mandani. That's a mess.
So what about this deal with the person that was my hero through the entire election? I told you guys that I liked this girl, and y'all all made fun of me, but Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi who?
Tulsi Gabbard, the DN.
I know she's been causing some sort of trouble. What's she doing now?
And so she has original documents that document the meetings between Barack Obama, Eric Clapper, and I forget the third one.
Oh, Brennan.
Yeah. And it basically documents how they went from the intelligence community saying for weeks and weeks and weeks there was no evidence that Russia was succeeding, let alone trying to impact the elections, other than just random comments they would make to just troll people. And then all of a sudden they are literally preparing the intelligence community assessment, the ICA, and they told him what it was going to say before they published it, and he said, "Stop. We're having a meeting tomorrow. Don't publish it until after the meeting." And after the meeting, they said it was very probable that Russia tried to affect the election, but they weren't necessarily successful at it. And I'm like, that is literally using government resources to impact, elections. And in this case, this particular meeting happened after Trump got elected, but before he took office. And this was, using government resources to sabotage the government, because whether they like it or not, at that point, Trump was the government.
Right.
And so, and it's a huge thing. And she's continuing to to release more of this stuff. And she's not just releasing it; she is sending it in a criminal referral to the Justice Department to see if there's a case to be made.
There's definitely a case to be made criminally. I mean, these guys are violating the laws every which way.
Well, the question, in my mind, here's how, in my mind, this thing's going to play out. They're going to find some very damning evidence. For whatever reason, they're going to sign. I will say this: if you go after a president, a former president, you better have it. And I mean, nobody can, not even his mother can dispute what you're saying. And if that's not the case, what'll wind up happening is there'll probably be a few lower level prosecutions that are successful, but the big damage is going to be when Trump, just having the case and having everyone have to acknowledge that it flipping. So that the damage to the Democrat Party will just be, crushing for a long time. It'll take them a long time to recover from.
I mean, the Democrat Party's been, called
Oh, they've
dead
been in free.
numerous times.
Yeah, well, they've been in free fall for the last couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, they were in free fall in the mid 90s, and it took them 10 years to recover.
Yeah, so I'm not suggesting they could never recover. What I'm saying is they're going to have to take a back seat for a while. They'll if something like that, and maybe one other thing, and there probably is at least one other thing, really comes to light in the way that it's looking like it's going to come to light. It'll be. They could get down to a third of Congress. I mean, there'll be some some representation, but they could have like they could not have a veto-proof majority anymore.
Right. Which I think they're going to lose a lot of that here in this midterms. I think this is going to be the first time that the party of the president has actually picked up seats in the midterms. I do not see Democrats overwhelmingly winning or turning out voters because they have no messaging at this moment. I mean, right now they're all over the place. They got the progressives leading the fundraising. They got the non-progressives, sitting back and they're like just questioning who's our leader. I mean, James Carville and Papagala and those guys, Mark Penn, those guys are out there leading the old school Democrats, the Clinton Democrats rather. And it's kind of interesting that these guys are kind of merging up with the new guys who think the progressives are too psychotic. And so it's a mess.
Problem is there aren't enough of those progressives that vote to seriously overcome, to take over the party. I mean, they're still the large minority of the party.
And also, a lot of this money they're raising is probably underage people because it's all, if you haven't noticed, under $50. It's these numerous, these high amounts of, this high numeric amounts of like 50, 20, $30 donations, which you don't have to mention anybody's name or their address. And they could be minors, they could be illegals, they could be foreign, they could be anything like that.
The same person.
It could be. Or the same person. Now, granted, whenever you donate to a FEC campaign or a federal campaign, they always have this whole disclosure at the end saying you promise that you are not this person, that person, this person, or that, and so on and so forth. And as if it's like a big terms and conditions on a big TNC on donations, as if anybody ever reads that. I don't think so. And the whole idea is, since he said the numbers of progressives are not that many, but their fundraising is because most likely a lot of the fundraising is probably coming from them using alternate names or repetitive names, or are just people who are not able to vote, period, at all.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how much they give if they can't vote. Who gives a damn?
Exactly. But you see, the priority is raising the money. It's not doing anything effective. It is raising money. Because what happens to the money? I mean, a lot of it goes to the campaign, but a lot of it, legitimately goes to the campaign, but a lot of it gets donated to worthy causes. And who's in charge of the worthy causes except all their buddies?
It goes to property payments and property houses and yachts and wonderful luxurious trips and junkets that, all these wonderful congressmen who are worried about all of us poor people go off to some little private island because Some lobbyists paid for it, and they go and have these lobster dinners and caviar and everything else on this protected island that is owned by some billionaire like Epstein's friends or somebody like that in that circle. And the money doesn't go to help anybody, period, at all. And the whole idea here is that these guys don't help. If they wanted to help people, they'd change the laws, and quit worrying about fundraising so damn much and just change the laws and fix the laws or cut a lot of the laws and cut all the burden out that are burdening all these small business owners all throughout the country. That was regulation or red tape and red tape. Cut it out. And that's how you help people. Work less. We don't
Yeah.
need you guys working this whole time.
One of the big criticisms running across Twitter for the last few days has been this report that CBS let out that talks about how Trump's tariffs are going to cost them $1 billion. Cost not CBS, cost the automakers $1 billion.
Really?
And one of my favorite things to see on Twitter is they'll post something like that and they'll say, "Is this what you voted for, MAGA conservatives?" And my answer is always, absolutely,
Yes.
that's what I voted for. Because it's supposed to be more expensive to build a car in a foreign country than it is in America. That's why the jobs are over there, because we keep shipping them over there. It doesn't matter how much you lower the price of something if you don't have the money to pay for it to begin with. If you can't even pay for the cheap thing, how the hell there's no problem in worrying about the big expensive thing because you ain't got a job to pay for it.
I mean, right now, if people don't wake up and realize we are a service-based economy, and we should not be a service-based economy, we should be a manufacturing and intel and tech-based economy, not service-based, because we need jobs here that pay a living wage, a higher wage, a wage that can take care of your family, not just barely scrap on to buy the cheapest crap you're going to buy from China or Vietnam because that's all you can damn afford. And basically, of course, that's the way it is. And if people want to make stuff here, we can build stuff here. And I mean, granted, it might cost more, but the whole multiplier effect of them being paid more, it all works out and it all makes sense. Now
Absolutely.
and now the whole new deal with Japan that just happened today. Hey, by the way, today is July 23rd. We forgot to say the date. And so, yeah, we've been forgetting, but July 23rd is the day that America and Japan did a wonderful, beautiful, gorgeous trade deal, as Trump will put it. But it's one of the best deals he made.
You might even go so far as to call it a big, beautiful trade deal.
Big, beautiful trade deal, yes. And even Japan said it's the best deal that they've ever had with America. They are so excited. They said this is going to shape and reshape the global economy. And Japan is the fourth largest economy in the world. I mean, and so I don't know who the third one is. I know it's China, America. Who's number three? Somebody go ahead and chime in or comment on this.
It's probably China.
Well, China's first, I think, in America.
No,
who's third?
I think America's still the biggest economy. Well, maybe not. I haven't looked at that lately.
What's ChatGPT say?
I don't know.
What's our local? Anybody watching, let us know what your local AI says and leave a comment on third biggest economy because it's not on the top of my really exhausted head right now. But Japan's the fourth largest economy. I think it might be Vietnam.
God, no. Vietnam's tiny.
Wow. Japan's a tiny country too, but
it is the United States is the top economy. China's number 2, Germany's number 3,
Germany.
India's number 4, India's number 4, and Japan's number 5.
Japan's
well at this time, based on the IMF's data.
Okay. But either way, they're high up there. And so, I mean, it's a real wonderful deal. I mean, we have a great deal with Vietnam. I like the deal that, the trade deal we have with Brazil. It's a little bit punishing to them right now for embracing a evil leader like they have. But, once they get rid of the communists, I think they'll get a better deal. The whole idea here is that we don't like to deal with communists.
For me, the fun part's going to be when Trump starts really waving these tariffs around to get the to whip Russia in line, because Russia may not give a crap about sanctions, but they care about being able to buy things from people who are now going to start refusing to sell them things.
Yeah, I'm curious about the whole Vietnam issue, because Vietnam is actually a communist country, isn't it, technically?
It is still a communist country.
But they work with us so well in the trade area, which is ironic.
Well, they're kind of like Sweden. back in the 80s or 90s, Sweden was legit socialist. I mean, legit.
Right, they were, yeah.
And they were running out of money so fast and so glaringly obviously that now in under some metrics they're more free than America is as far as capitalistic.
Yeah, that's actually FYI, that's where Trump his bloodline's from Sweden.
Yeah, okay. Well, but it's still a place where there's that they have a long socialist history that they had to abandon because it was going to drive them broke.
Exactly.
So all of those socialist countries are that way. Here was my pithy Twitter post of the day was: you can't sell products to a country that has no jobs. Tariffs aren't punishment; they're survival.
Exactly. People don't get this. I mean, the prices that go up. I mean, everybody keeps on talking about the grocery prices going up. And granted, the groceries are still. I mean, I'm sure they're dropping in some parts of the country. They're
They're
not where I
dropping in
live.
this part of the country.
What?
They're dropping in our part of the country.
They're not where I live. They're not dropping enough. But my point
Well,
is, though,
it's
never
they're never
enough.
down. They're always up too much, and they never drop enough. I mean,
That's
I
true.
mean, and you're not unique in that perspective, but I mean that's just how it is.
I agree. But I wish meat would come down some. Meat being $5.49 a
Remember when
pound.
eggs were like $5 a dozen, and now they're like $2.30.
Oh, well, they're still $5 over here.
Really?
Yeah. The 230, which is down because they were 9. And so, I mean, if you get a good dozen organic eggs, is like right around like $5.90 to $5.50.
I'm talking about regular, normal people eggs,
Okay, well
not
those are
Whole Foods.
those are $2.50.
Yeah, okay,
$2.50
thank
a
you.
dozen, yeah. But who eats regular eggs?
But no, you can't look at that price because that's not the price that they were complaining about. Everyone knows that Whole Foods expensive, and
I'm
it's
a
all
free
Whole
range
Foods.
organic guy.
Whole Foods organic stuff has been expensive since the day they invented the label.
It's wrong. It shouldn't be so expensive for something that's so non-expensively made.
Buy some chickens.
Well, actually, we did. Our friend has a bunch of chickens, so
Yeah.
we're gonna start. She's giving us 3 dozen eggs a week.
I imagine so because because the people that I know, the couples that I know, you basically need a chicken per person.
That's about right. That's a good deal.
Even that'll wind up with a couple of extra ones. If you're getting chickens, make sure you don't wash the eggs. Do not wash those eggs. Do not. Do not wash fresh eggs. I mean, no, I know they look gross and stuff like that, and you think that's chicken poo and stuff like that. That's a membrane that preserves that egg for a long time.
Exactly.
You can leave those things sitting on the kitchen counter. If you eat eggs regularly, you can just leave them on the kitchen counter and they'll be fine the whole time you got them.
You don't have to refrigerate them at all. That's the whole thing that people keep on asking: when are all these prices going to drop a lot more? And the thing is, prices never drop to where everybody wants it to be, because everybody wants something that's just not reality. The cost of living is going up. Rent is going to go up. Everything's going up. The biggest thing that needs to go up is wages, and they are going up in a lot of different markets.
Yes.
They just have to increase it. The business owners have to free up the money a little bit, quit worrying about their boat payments. Go ahead and invest a little bit more in their employees, and I think they'll get a lot higher return.
It's amazing what happens when you make it more expensive to manufacture things overseas, and then you kick out the people that aren't supposed to be here to begin with. It's like the jobs just start springing up out of it everywhere.
And like you said, the housing is going to.
The thing about the Japanese story that you forgot to mention is the fact that there's $500 million worth of Chinese investment or Japanese investment coming along with it.
Yeah. And also, like you mentioned a couple of weeks ago, with the housing market being so tight and so limited right now, with all these illegals leaving, there's going to open up a huge housing market to where hopefully the law of supply and demand kicks in, and the pricing will drop greatly for a lot of the rentals.
I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but 1 or 2% of the population leaving does free up a lot of stuff. I mean, how often does anyone move? I mean, most people move maybe 3 or 4 times in their life.
How long will it take for people to realize that? Probably a year or two.
Probably, yeah. And but because of that, the turnover in housing is not very high. It's never very high.
Right.
But so that's why taking the people that were living in those in those houses and sending them back to where they came from, that's why it makes a pronounced impact on housing.
But people need to be prepared. It's not going to happen immediately. Everybody thinks everything's happening just really lickety split, all of a sudden, just automatic. It doesn't take, it takes a lot of time for all of that to churn into the system, into a huge market that we have. I mean, basically, all these different housing areas, and that they're basically emptying it out. It's not like they're just emptying out 1% in one city. It's done over 400 or 500 cities. I mean, if people haven't paid attention to what ICE and Tom Homan are doing, they are nationwide on this, babies. They are everywhere.
There was an ICE raid today in Pensacola.
Really?
Yeah, a lawn and irrigation company.
Yeah, I imagine that's probably just the latest one.
Well, it was in the news. I mean, there
Right.
probably are other ones, but they like to publicize these things after the fact because that's the whole point of law enforcement. You say this could be you if you don't straighten up and fly right.
Yeah, and the whole issue here with the Pensacola law enforcement is that they are very low on deputies right now. And so they need federal resources to help out. I mean, I think this Canby County Sheriff's Office is like 200 deputies short at this moment. And they need all the help from the state and the federal government they can get.
Well, with the federal government removing criminals,
Well, that does help a
it's kind
lot.
of helpful.
It does help.
Although to be fair, the people that work at this lawn care place, I'm sure are good people. But the problem isn't the ones that come that are good, hardworking people. Even though they have no business being here, they need to go home. The real problem is the people that come along with them, or
Exactly.
the organizations that say we're going to help you get there, and now you owe us, and so you've got to like help us store drugs or something like that.
Yeah, people don't realize, I mean, there are a lot of well-intentioned, good people that were immigrants that came over here were being used as, drug mules and gun
Drug
mules
mules,
and human trafficking.
warehouses, human
I
trafficking,
mean,
whatever.
and they don't have a choice because if they don't do it, the people who paid for them to get over there will kill them. I mean, that's just a fact. And so a lot of these well-intentioned people who everybody here meets at the street or meets in church or meets in school or meets at the market are great people who get deported. They might be great, but there's some reason why they're here and being protected because they're probably having to do something that they don't want to have to do to stay here and stay safe. And that's, that in itself should throw a lot of question marks around their character. Well, for me anyway.
Well, like I said, it's not for me a character argument as much as it is just a they're I keep calling them a slave class
It
because
is.
because they're put in a position where they don't have legal recourse and they've got criminals telling them do this or else.
Exactly.
So
And the employers should be targeted as well. I mean, that's one thing that people are not even talking about is who in the hell are hiring these people, knowing that they're illegal. They need to stop. And the whole idea that nobody's targeting the employers, because if they weren't hiring them, they wouldn't be here.
well that's a tough one
It is.
to enforce because like in Florida, if you don't have more than a certain minimum number of people in your company, you don't even have to do e-verify. And I think it's like 50. You gotta have like 50 people in your company before you're required to use e-verify. Now you can optionally use, anyone can optionally use it, but you're not required until you hit a certain threshold that for some reason makes me think it's like 50 employees, but I could be wrong about that.
That's just wrong. I think anybody that has over 5 employees. So I mean, unless you already know they're all Americans, I get it.
Well, I know the reason that they put that threshold in there is because it takes a significant amount of resources to manage all of that stuff.
But E-Verify is free for people who don't know
It's free.
that. E-Verify is a free system that you just have to download everything else with the government. You had to have research. You had to have a reason to do it. Like we tried doing it with no reason whatsoever. And basically, I was being told you had to have these employees here in order to check them. I'm like, I just want to check random people. It says you can't use E-Verify to check random people. But I do think,
You ought to be able to, though.
I want to be able to, damn it. I just want to see if that guy down there is legal or not. No, but in all reality, though, I mean, when it talks to voters and everything, I mean, this is why we talked about E-Verify with elections offices and in campaigns to make sure only legal people are voting, because that's actually a state law in Florida, is that you have to be a U.S. citizen to vote. But there's no way to enforce it because there is no mechanism to see if these illegal people who get their driver's license and their voter registration or their student visa all at the same time are really supposed to be voting.
Tell you a really crazy idea. Why don't we make it so that supervisors of elections have to use E-Verify?
They should have to, and they should run that entire database right through it
Exactly.
because they already have everything. Whenever you sign up to vote, they already got your social.
Yeah, my
They
God.
got your date of birth. They got your address. They got
They
your
got everything
signature.
they need.
And again, a lot of people in Florida just sign with an X, but hey, X marks the spot, and that spot needs to tell us if you're legal or not to run. Now we had a meeting, catch everybody up on the Latchwood situation. They had a meeting yesterday, and there are some definitely federal investigations possibly happening into
Yes.
the Alachua situation, to where a lot of things just did not make any kind of sense. Like we said, they had 4,000 new people move to the area, and I guess 10,000 new voters in 3 weeks. And those voters they're not there anymore. And then they go away. And it seems to be a trend over the last, I don't know, 8 to 10 years, and this is happening throughout a lot of Florida. And it's a bipartisan thing, by the way, guys. So I'm not just picking on Democrats. It's a bipartisan thing. And people who want to control the system control it this way. And because there is no law yet for county to county transfers. In the state of Florida, you can transfer on the same day from Miami-Dade to Escambia County and vote. You can only vote one time, but you can do it on the same day. And there's no law saying you can't. There's no limit on how long you can live or whatever. But the whole idea here is that you can get a whole bunch of people who don't even know that they're voters, from these schools and colleges, and sign them up to vote. They don't know. And they ended up voting in this big election. Then they unregistered to vote. They deregistered, something like that.
There are all kind of mechanisms for them to abuse the whole thing.
It is.
And it's, the thing that makes me laugh the hardest is the people defending mail-in voting. And and I keep telling them, I says, look, it is in some cases necessary, people that just, that can't physically get out of the house to come vote, that have medical reasons why they can't come out or whatever.
Or military reasons. They're deployed.
Or military reasons. So there is some tiny, unique cases, but not the widespread, application they got now. I mean, it's there for the taking. You can just anyone can do it, and it is by far the least secure method of voting.
It is. I mean, my dad voted absentee this last year, and he didn't even register to vote. But somebody registered my father to vote in 2024, and because he moved from Escambia County to Alachua County, and he somehow became a registered voter in Alachua County. Now, he didn't do the paperwork. My dad didn't even know what end was up. He wasn't even writing anymore at the time. He doesn't do any handwritten stuff or any paperwork or anything. I didn't do it for him at all. I didn't do my dad's voter registration, but somehow he ended up being a voter in Alachua County. But you know how we were complaining about a lot of people who die, they don't take him off the rolls? They took him off the rolls 2 days before he died. He was taken off the Alachua County rolls 2 days before he passed away because they needed his vote. He was one of those votes that swelled up. They needed his vote for the election, and then his voter registration is gone. And we haven't even turned his death certificate in to, it's remarkable. He's not even registered in the state of Florida.
See, Greg, you think your dad passed away when the reality is he just moved back to Pensacola.
That's right. He's actually in heaven, not Pensacola hell. or Scambia County. For
Right.
the Scambia, as everybody used to say. No, but in all reality, I mean, it's weird how, and I brought that up to Bill yesterday in that meeting, and I'm like, my dad's not a voter anymore. He says, well, he passed away. I'm like, nobody gave any paperwork to anybody yet because in
How
Alachua
do you know?
County,
Exactly. The question is, how do you know he passed away?
exactly. How do they know? I know because I was there, but
It ain't like the coroner notified them.
no. I mean, the death certificate, was only given to me the week before I found out that he was no longer a voter. Now, if that's the case, if they're that efficient taking somebody out without even being notified, I smell a whole bunch of weird stuff here, you
A
know?
lot of weird stuff there.
And you got other counties like Hillsborough, you got Miami-Dade, although Miami-Dade's Republican, Hillsborough's Republican. It's really weird on why they are Republican because it doesn't make any logical sense whatsoever. Broward County is going bluer, and Broward it has a lot more. A lot of people don't realize there's a lot of rural part of Broward that's very Trumpian, and so it shouldn't really be as blue as it is because they have a big rural farming area part of Broward near the Lake Okeechobee side and everything. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't add up, and I think we're probably going to use a good Florida purging of all the voters and just resetting the clock.
Well, like I said, e-verify.
Exactly.
Let's just bring it all the way back to e-verify for supervisors elections mandatory. Actually, have the state division of elections do periodic sweeps.
Yeah, random.
Yeah, just
Without any
random.
notice whatsoever.
No notice. Then we don't have to decide. We don't have to wonder is the supervisor of elections doing it because it's getting done. Because if you do that, then the Democrats for e-verify, the Democrats won't. They'll say they did not do it.
Exactly. So we got this election coming up here now in 2026. We are basically almost, what's the date today? July 23rd. We are 11 and a half months here in Florida where absentees going out. And I think the governor's race is already over.
Yeah, I'm being, my cousin's is a lobbyist at one of the big firms, and he told me that, yeah, that it is basically a done deal.
So
But
we have Byron Donalds, for those who don't know, the African American congressman from Naples,
exactly the Florida's first black governor,
Republican,
Republican.
and is a Tea Party guy, a really conservative kind of guy. And I think he's going to do a good, interesting job as governor.
I think he will too. The only thing that concerns me is that Democrats do not like. I mean, there are a few things they hate more than people who are supposed to be part of their protected class aren't towing the line.
Yeah.
And I would not be shocked to see some manufactured controversy come out of the woodwork.
Oh, there will be. But you know who Democrats are running, right? They got Representative Jolly. Remember him? He used to be a Republican conservative who lost to Luna down there in Tampa area.
Dave Jolly.
And now he's running as a Democrat, kind of like Charlie Crist, another former Republican who switched parties to run as a Democrat. So basically, the Democrat Party is being ran by a lot of former Republicans. Actually, by the way, both former Tea Party Republicans. They both were. So, what does it tell you about the Tea Party?
It tells me that some people that join these organizations will say anything to get elected. That's what
They will.
And I hate to go full circle back to Mandami. He will clearly say whatever it takes to get elected. I mean, you can see it in his eyes as he's speaking. He will adjust his language to be whatever he needs to be. He's the biggest chameleon in New York.
You think so? Because he's still standing behind his whole government controlling thing, isn't he?
Well, he kind of is, but he's trying to adjust his message so that it doesn't. Oh no, of course I'm not talking about government ownership of these things.
No, which is even scarier. He's talking about private ownership than government mandating that private ownership.
That's just there's nothing about it. Like I said at the very beginning of the show, that when the government controls things, then you have bureaucrats and lobbyists whose entire day is spent figuring out how to craft language to get them more money to do whatever. And it's incrementally builds up to whatever. You want to see Mandani, really crash and burn? Put him in there with a New York budget. That place will fall apart in 4 years. I don't think even if they had a mechanism to remove him as governor, to recall him as governor, I don't think they could get it done quick enough to undo the damage.
Well, yeah, right now he's just kind of running as mayor and everything. So, who is the governor of New York right now, anyway?
Catherine Hochul.
I don't think she's going anywhere.
Well, I don't think she is. She does an okay job of showing the Democrat line, but I don't think she's quite as wacky as some of the characters that have shown up in this theater of ridiculousness.
Yeah, excuse me. She does have her issues with being a little bit more progressive than she should be. And I think she actually would probably, if Mandani was the mayor, I think she'd actually push New York a lot more that direction in New York.
I don't know. I think she is a progressive in name only. A Pino.
Pino. We got a new name out there, guys. Pino.
Yeah.
That's like Tim Walz. Tim Walz is a progressive in name only, probably.
He's
just an idiot.
Yeah, he's just an idiot.
Well, he is a governor.
You listen to that guy talk. I mean, how does he come off as anything but an idiot? I'm not even talking about, before you even process the words that he said, just his persona is dumb.
Yeah.
And then you start interpreting the words and you say, well, it can't get much worse than this. And then you start interpreting the words. You're like, oh my God, it is.
Well, it could be Kamala Harris or Kamala Harris.
No.
Kamala Harris.
If
I guess it's trying to be the next governor.
She made him look smart.
Yeah, she's trying to be the next governor of California. I'm trying to think that's going to happen.
They deserve her.
I don't think they want her.
I don't think they do either, but they deserve her.
The people in California are not that bad. So there's some good people there.
There are good people, but the problem is that they keep electing idiots.
Well, yeah, but
they keep voting against their own interests.
Yeah, they should have E-Verify over there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, if they did E-Verify, it probably would never have a Democratic representation again.
And they would lose 5 congressional seats.
Easily. And it would flip red really quick.
And look, I don't mean that the seat would flip. I mean the seats would get reapportioned to other states.
But yeah, because the population would drop so dramatically. They wouldn't be the largest population anymore.
We're already between what ICE is doing and what California is doing to itself. I don't think that you could reduce the population any faster. So what's the future for Governor Newsom then? Gavin. I think he plans on running for president, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere. You think he's going to move to the middle like everybody thinks? Oh, he'll probably try that, yeah. But I don't think it's going to be effective. I don't think people are going to buy what he's selling. Right. But because you look up, he's been involved in California politics for a very long time, starting in the Bay Area, all the way up through all the way up through the governor. He's had a seat at every level, and everywhere that he's been has represented all of the things that we think are bad about California. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't know how the Olympics are going to be there in 2 years. Right now their rebuilding efforts are very failing and slow. And I think the Olympics need to look at going to Miami or to Minnesota. Or it's not going to be the first time they've had the Olympics in a third world country. That's very true. And that would be a third world country at this moment. Absolutely. Because LA is just not up to par yet. Even the studios are leaving LA. One of the biggest engagements that I got on Twitter, on X, was when I posted a picture of a really of a junked up little underpass or overpass in LA. They were talking about how it was in response to a post where someone had talked about how the sheriffs or the ICE going across a park and rooting out people made us look like a third world country. And my response was simply to post that, no, this is what makes us look like a third world country, or LA look like a third world country. And it got like 700 likes. And where I had posted that is in a fairly heavily Democrat little forum. The guy made that post was clearly supporting of Democrat policies, and yet all the people, so many of the people that read that post came to mind and says, "Yeah, you're right. This is what makes us look like a third world country."
Yeah, I mean, America, is such a wonderful nation and everything else, and we are just letting parts of it just fall apart by the wayside of it
Voluntarily.
voluntarily because of the policies that, and it's not falling apart because of who we are. It's falling apart by who the people who are in charge are and the policies that they're creating and not allowing to progress. I mean, it's kind of weird how progressives are actually regressive and
It is.
conservatives are actually progressive.
It is. But if you remember, we saw a video a couple of weeks ago that that I've done some subsequent research on that pointed out that only 30% of the time does Washington, and I assume it probably translates to the state level and probably the county level too.
Yeah,
Only 30% of the time do these governing officials pass laws that are supported by more than 30% of their electorate.
right. And it's frustrating, and that's where having good campaigns really comes in, and getting good leaders who actually listen to. This is why we do a lot of polling. Is that we try to tell these candidates and these elected officials exactly what the people are wanting to hear and wanting to see done. And people say it's not just about what you're just trying to tell us what they want to hear so that you can spin it. I'm like, no, they actually want to see action this way too. They don't want just lip service. They want action. And people have got to quit just feeding them bullshit and start doing the work.
Yeah, counter to what people think, we don't tell candidates what to think. We tell them what the public agrees with them on and tell them to focus on that.
Exactly. Because they're the ones who, I mean, they're the ones who are paying you. It's their money that you're taking.
Exactly.
You're living off of them. So let's work with the people that are feeding you. But I think we're going to go ahead and cut it here today. It's been a wonderful, wonderful July 23rd here today. It's been hot.
It's hot, hazy, and humid. Welcome to Florida.
Yes. And the rest of the country is hot, hazy, and humid. Y'all have a wonderful time. But please subscribe to us. We are losing members and finding members and losing people again. So if you see that you subscribe or you like us, and then you see that somehow it became unliked or unsubscribed, go ahead and click it again. And don't worry about it because the algorithm is just very screwy right now.
Look, just take a minute right now and see that button, that button right down there. Click that one, and then click the like button, click the subscribe button, and you've got it covered. Just do it every time you watch, and you'll never miss a thing.
Like they said back in the 60s, vote for the candidates, vote early and vote often.
There you go.
Yeah, have a good evening.
All right, well, that'll be good enough for me.
Okay.